Hey y'all, here OS Reviews. Today we're taking a closer look at Anker's Soundcore Life.2s. These are a pair of affordable TWS wireless buds which sell for under 40 bucks. I've seen it go on sale for around 30 on Amazon, so really cost effective. Anker is more well known for making power banks and pretty solid ones at that, so they're starting to branch out into other types of accessories, including wireless headphones, and earlier in the year we checked out a pair that was more of a flagship from them called the Liberty Air 2 Pros. These have active ANC, they have an app, they have all of these fancy functions for tuning the sound, but these are much more stripped back. They're their budget option, really. This one, though, does have a really long battery life, lasting over 100 hours with the case combined, which is really impressive, and they are IPX5 rated as well, and Anker calls these AirWings for creating this comfort and secure lock. When removed from the case, the buds themselves will last for around 8 hours of continuous listening, which is also above average. And inside here we have, of course, the Life.2s, and we also have the usual assortment of pamphlets and user guides, and also down below a very carefully displayed array of options for the silicone tips, and the wings is also a USB Type-C charging cable. Now, of course, to get the price so low, there are some omissions that are purposeful from Anker, one of them being that these no longer support their companion app, which they have developed and works with all of their other wireless buds. So this no longer has access to things like tuning the sound specific to your hearing. You can't change the EQ from that. But just as a simple pair of wireless buds which you connect to Bluetooth and start listening to, it already sounds very good, and we'll talk about that more later in this video. Anyways, in terms of the casing, it is constructed out of a polycarbonate plastic, and the added battery size here does mean it's a little bit heavier and thicker than some of the competitors, but overall it's still not too bad, I'd say, for putting into a larger pocket, a coat pocket, or into a backpack, and compared to the Liberty Air 2 Pros, it's in line overall, though a bit on the heavier side. The rear features the Type-C charging port, and that's basically it. The mechanism for the lid, by the way, is interesting in that it opens halfway easily, and then if you want to prop it all the way open, it requires a bit more force for it to lock into place, and now it will not really stay loose or flop around, as you can see there, so there is kind of a two-stage lock for the lid. That is an interesting design, but overall works nicely. And once the buds are essentially removed from the casing, they will immediately start to pair and connect with your phone. The process is quite fast and seamless, and it supports the usual codecs like SBC and AAC using Bluetooth 5.0. Now, taking a closer look at the design of the buds themselves, again, they do have a very compact shape. They just stick in, and there is no stem on the outside, so some folks will prefer that. And overall, again, the added wings do add plenty of grip and make them very snug and comfortable when wearing it. You basically pop them in and then give it a slight twist. And then also the top here, which is touch sensitive. Overall, the responsiveness of the controls were good. Sometimes I had to press once or twice to get them to register, but overall not bad. You're able to do things like play and pause your music, skip tracks, but unfortunately they don't have the ability to change the volume higher or lower directly on these, which is something I've repeated for a while now. I do think that is a feature which should be standard on wireless buds, but unfortunately it still isn't. You have to rely on your phone's controls to do that, or use the voice assistant. The construction of these buds do feel quite good for the low price. There is a fusion of polycarbonate and some rubber accents going on, charging contacts on the back, and also the grille for the speaker you can see is accented in silver, like the Liberty Air 2 Pros have the spiral pattern, which is gold. Moving into audio quality and performance, I have to say I am super impressed by the Life.2s. Although these are budget buds, they definitely don't sound budget when you're listening to music. It has plenty of punch in terms of bass and the lower frequency, so if you enjoy drum beats or EDM style sounds, these will definitely suit your tastes. It gives it a bit of a rumble, in fact, but at the same time, it doesn't take away too much. It's not overpowering the mids or trebles. Still has plenty of detail in instrumentals and vocals even that you can detect. So as a whole, these are surprisingly clean sounding without too much hints of static or hissing, nothing like that. If you are doing a side-by-side with some of their more expensive buds like the aforementioned Liberty Air 2 Pros, yes, these do still have a touch more detail, and the hearing test and the custom software does still further improve the sound by a touch, but I have to say, comparing these with other buds in the same price range, they are already awesome and really give you a lively, punchy experience. Also, playing back videos like YouTube or Netflix didn't have any lag or delay between the left and the right sides, and playing back games also worked well, although these don't have a dedicated low latency mode. Call quality though is average, if not slightly below average, just because the microphone is so far away from your mouth that it's kind of hard to pick up your sound as clearly if you're in a slightly busier environment. But that's to be expected with something that doesn't have a stem. Prioritizing comfort, maybe the only thing that's missing, since the battery capacity is so huge, is if they've maybe put in another USB port to act as a power bank for also charging your phone as a secondary feature. So that's more or less it as far as our hands-on review of the Anker Soundcore Life Dot 2. Again, a low-cost pair of buds, but don't sound cheap by any means. Very full, punchy sound. It's also good for sports and exercise, and insane battery life as well. If anything, it's a very simple pair of buds, but again, you don't get too much extras here. You can check out more details if you're interested in the links down below. But for now, that's been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. That's been the Life Dot 2s.